Hello and welcome. This is the first of a new series of videos for me. I'm going to try and do a few modelling videos. I've not really done any videos in a long time, so it's nice to try and do something creative for once. My project at the minute and going into the new year is going to try and create a Chaos Dwarf Army. However, as much as I like the forgeable models, as they are lovely, I just can't afford them, so I'm going to try and convert up everything from normal Dwarf Army. I've managed to pick up a box of Dwarf Ironbreakers, relatively cheap. These are going to be my first of my Foot Sloggers Sword and Shield guys, whose names escape me in a minute. But the idea is to take them, and as you can see, all the little kind of dwarf iconography on them, essentially remove that to give them just a kind of straight metal look, just so that you've got the kind of black iron look on them essentially. Now, obviously on the back, we can see that they can also be made into iron drakes. It may be something I'll look into in the future to do these as the firearm wielding unit, just because it would come in handy to actually have both. The War Scroll battalion that you use does have, I believe, 2 units of both. So, but for now, I'm just going to use these as a kind of tester. The idea is to not just remove the iconography, but not to use the heads for the iron breakers here. Instead, use the iron drake heads because they have a very nice kind of enclosed look to them, with the full kind of beard coverage and everything. The idea behind the army is that it's going to be my own dwarf army, which I've already done some models for and done some bits and pieces for in the past. And they're essentially the mountain that they lived in, the volcano that they lived in, Karak Kolzul, was full of black iron, which is kind of a get out for me, just not wanting to paint a lot of colours on the model, but doing a kind of golden black kind of look to them. But is this kind of timeline where instead of resisting chaos by bribing and paying for the service of the local ogre tribe to defend the outside of the mountain, they essentially fell to chaos due to the chaos magic within the iron or something similar. I'm sure I'll work out more details of the actual fluff behind them at some point along the line, and then they can enslave the ogres, which obviously goes into my ogre army I've got. Kind of again, the main reason I'm doing Chaos Dwarves is that it's the only kind of Grand Alliance I don't have. I have one of each at the moment, mostly unpainted obviously because it's me we're talking about. But I kind of wanted to do something with the dwarves but a bit different. So again, I'm going to try and scratch build some of the war machines. I'm already looking at what best ways to do. I probably will use the occasional like proper Chaos Dwarf model and such, or Legions of Azgor as they are now anyway. But my plan is to essentially do a little intro on the video just to show you what I'm doing, or quick recap maybe of the last time, and then essentially jump cut to where I've already done something. But just to show you, it's, I'm pretty much ready to go. I've got my covering for the nice table down so I don't mark it. I've got my cutting board and my tools, my very old and worn pair of clippers there. Bits box. I've got me tablet there with the Wrestling with Regret channel on it, which is quite good for working your way through anything. I do recommend his videos. Brian Zane's very good. But yeah, no, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on these, get them unwrapped, and then I'll show you the sprues. Okay, so quick jump cut there. Right, yeah, so the sprues are, you have to bear with me because I don't actually have a proper stand for my camera. I'm just trying to work with it. So the sprues are quite good. I've put together iron drakes and iron breakers before. I have 2 units of iron drakes in my current dwarf army just because they're very, very useful. A big unit of iron breakers as well because they're very good for holding points. They are, obviously the instructions here with all the parts to put together. I think what I'm going to have to do is essentially do this on a piece by piece basis though, just because I think putting them all together, or stripping them all first and then taking all the iconography off and then putting them on the dwarves, it would make it a little bit difficult just because some of the arms are meant to match up with the others, so I might have to do it on a dwarf by dwarf basis. Looking at it, I mean the shields, I plan just to get rid of the things around the centre kind of nodule there. Maybe leave some of them as a kind of 8-pointed star if I can. We're just plain black. It's kind of all going to be played by ear, to be honest with you. It's kind of exciting. It's also kind of if it's going to look any good or if they're just going to look like very naff normal dwarves, essentially. I have to put something on the weapons, I think. So obviously you see, like, for instance, on the axe there, you've got the design on the thing, which could be quite hard to still make look decent afterwards, but I'm sure we can try. The only things that might cause some stumbling are the things like the standard bearers and the musicians, just because obviously you've got the standard bearers and musicians, you've got the steel book for the standard bearer and the musician is the drummer. I might actually swap them out for the other ones, the Iron Drake standard there and then the Iron Drake musician there. Looking at the army itself, it's not too bad. I mean, the rules for it they're okay. They're essentially like the dwarves, but not quite as good. Which obviously is one of its own things. They're not. They've got a lot of differences in things like bravery and such, which is obvious because they're followers of chaos, so they're not going to have the same kind of resolute rules as everything else. The big difference is the shields, because the shields, we can see obviously the Gromrel shields there for the Iron Breakers. Dwarves get a rule where if they don't run a charge, they can re-roll their saves, whereas Chaos Dwarves is a bit different because they have spiked shields. So their rule is if you are in, at least if you're in close combat and you roll a 6 for your save, it rebounds a mortal wound onto the enemy. So potentially very usable, so not actually keeping your guys alive. But I think we should be fine. I mean, the main difference is going to be the champions, because obviously the champion here will have axe and shield, but the champions for Chaos Dwarfs have pistols instead. So I'm going to have to sub in. Luckily, the champions here do come with a pistol. So if I go for a pistol and use the other hand as an axe hand, and then work from there essentially. So yeah, I'll see if I can get one started, and then maybe another jump cut. Okay, so here's the parts as they are laid out off the sprues. And as you can see, you've still got it's an older box, so I've still got the square bases. Doesn't really matter, in all fairness. I'm not pro or anti square base. I know some people are. So here we can see the actual models now. That's the back side of it. See if we can. So you can see where the design loops around. So my plan is basically just to shave the curly bits off, maybe just leave the angular lines, because that should at least then maybe make it still look semi-interesting without it looking too chaotic, right, looking too dwarfish, because chaotic's fine, you don't need to look, don't really care about it looking too chaotic. The front side is, there you go. Again, a little bit more work to do with front of the model as to be expected. Again, just thinking about shaving off the curly bits, that might work, at least on the top. I'm not so sure about on the bottom, because it might just leave it as like an L, basically, which is not particularly great. This is the Ironbreaker's head. If we go, I need to focus. Little curly eyebrows on it. They're going either way. That's not even going to be an issue. Obviously, paint job is going to be a big side of making it look. There's still going to be the black and gold of like my current dwarf army, but it could also make it stand out quite well. For instance, on my current dwarfs, the chainmail at the bottom here is grey. If I did it as something like maybe a very dark red, like a wine kind of coloured red or a blood red, that could come across quite well, actually, and really make them stand out. Axes, curly bits, get rid of them. Obviously dwarf symbol on the side there. It's tempting to leave the symbols but just kind of scar them, essentially, just to mess them up, but I'm not sure. They're still dwarves and smiths, so they wouldn't necessarily make or disfigure something. They might just make it like a new thing, but chaotic. I don't know. Maybe that might be a good idea for it, just to, at least for the runes and such on the side, just to scar them up. Can't get to focus up. You see what I mean? Shoulder pads are going to be finicky to do because they're absolutely tiny, and I have very large fingers, as you can see. In case I get rid of the axe on that, would be good. But maybe just a laurel wreath. Leave the axe. There's a laurel wreath on the other one, but it would leave the thing completely blank if I took the laurel wreath off of there. And the shield. Again, the shield might be simpler than I'm thinking, because some of these points could make a decent star. But cutting and filing is going to be the best thing for it. Yeah, so thank you very much. We're back. That took a bit longer than I actually expected it to, but I suppose that's always going to be the way with the first couple until I get everything down. I filed off as much of the, cut off as much of the iconography as I can. I'm not sure it's made a massive amount of difference. I think a lot of it's going to come down to, as I said before, paint job maybe. Maybe a combination of the two might make it look decent. I'll just give you a quick look. So that's the back. Still doing a bit of filing work on it and just tidying up, but also got rid of the curly bits there just to make kind of angular lines. And it's still not perfect. I mean, the front bit there was very bad. This bit here, it was awful trying to get off, obviously, because it's in such a small space. Not much I can do with it, to be honest with you. Obviously, working on it, it's trying to make it do things which it's not really supposed to do, because it's supposed to come out a certain way. That's still a bit, I mean, hooked and barbed there. Arms were relatively easier, just in case I get rid of the runes. Giving it a file over. Head I've not actually done anything with just yet. Probably get rid of the eyebrows. They look a bit silly anyway, but yeah. Axe. The lighting conditions there. File off the curly bits, and then obviously the rune on the armband. It is going to leave little blank sections on there. I'm going to have to try and, I don't know, think of something to put on there. Paint it slightly different, so there's no expanse of black. The back is a bit of a mess there. It's not great. Best I can really do at the minute. The shield, you see I got rid of pretty much all the details, just a weird, left a weird little kind of nipple almost on the shield. Thinking about maybe doing that as like an eye, perhaps on there. Shoulder pads, one was relatively simple because it was just kind of laurel wreath, going to get rid of. Brilliant, it's just a bit of a clean up there. This one was a bit harder. I decided to try and leave the axe on it, but I don't know, I might have to just leave them blank and then maybe get some transfers or something. Maybe take that axe off because it's made it look very, very bad. Some things I have learned that I kind of need. Tool wise, I need to get a different knife. Currently just using the Stanley knife, very sharp blade, however it's very, very heavy. Well, for doing modelling, so obviously kind of going like that very, very gently. But then the weight of it, once I cut through, I need to pushes it, and it's kind of leaving scores and cut marks across things, which isn't great. I might be looking to get one of the Zacto knives, I think they're called. At the minute, I was kind of taking the blade out of the knife and just using it that way, which is obviously very, very, very dangerous. Probably shouldn't do that. Again, that's something to look into for the future. Files. Can use a battered old set of files here. This one was quite useful because it was helping me get into the corners. You can see the general shape, it does kind of taper away essentially. But it could do with it being a file on this inside bit, so I could get around I might try and find one with a round onto there. If I do plan to continue on with a series of videos, a stand for the actual my camera, my phone would be good. But model wise, yeah, I'm going to put this one together. Give him a glue. I'll probably leave the shield off, obviously, because if I'm going to paint him, that's the easy way of doing it. We'll just see what happens once it's put together. Okay, so make this the last jump cut, as it were. So I've put everything together, obviously apart from the shield, which I'm going to leave separate so that it can be painted. Learned that lesson over many years. This is the finished article, as it were. The light's not amazing. Let me see if I can just move things a little bit for you. I took the eyebrows off of the head. I'm not too happy with it, to be honest. I think it's either a combination of me messing up or just removing those eyebrows kind of makes very, very tiny holes, and it makes it look a bit weird. It may have looked better when I painted it, instead of kind of gouged out these big owl eyes in the top of it. Not too sure what to do in the future with them. I might just take the curly bits above the eyebrows off, but leave the eyebrows themselves, or just take the eyebrows off, but not then gouge out massive holes. I mean, it could look better when it's painted. It's still going to need a bit of work doing it, to be honest with you. There's all these little rough, bobbly areas. He's more a tester model, I must admit. I don't really know how I'm going to smooth these bits out without access to something. A Dremel or something, maybe, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, he's alright. I don't think he looks particularly undwarfy at the minute. Like, I don't see the chaos kind of there. The eyes might make it better for that creepiness. Yeah, I need to put some more work into it, I think. I think before I could probably do the basic stuff with the tools I've got. But I think just for future, I'm probably going to need some more. I don't know, some different ones or something to work with. Definitely might have to get a X-Acto knife, maybe some new files, just because the ones I've got are a bit knackered. Yeah, so that's the end of the first video. I might do a second one, I don't know yet. It's okay, everything's kind of up in the air a bit. I just want to get something a bit more creative with my time, I think, and just do something. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. If you have watched all this, I'll see you soon, hopefully.